Alright, so if you were online earlier this month, you probably saw people talking about this nonsense super straight thing. Super straight meaning a cisgender man or woman who is exclusively attracted to cisgender women and men, respectively. And Twitter, predictably, was losing their minds about it, with reactions ranging from "this is stupid, this is nonsense" to "this is transphobic." But if you combed through the recent tweets on the matter, you'd notice the only people talking about it who weren't criticizing it were idiotic gender-critical types and people who wouldn't stop posting frog memes. So in other words, this was bait from 4chan. If you're attuned to the kind of stunts they pull, it's usually pretty easy to know it when you see it. That said, I'm not really sure how much exposure Zoomers have had to this kind of thing, and it's probably not obvious to people who haven't calibrated their internal lie detectors to pick up on stuff like this. And I have good reason to believe that this is the case because it's happening again, and this time it's causing an actual lot of panic. So let's get some context out of the way. Image boards are anonymous forums where people can share images alongside with their posts. They look like something that fell out of 2003 and haven't been updated since. Usually the moderation is kind of a free-for-all, and the user bases will range from edgelord reactionaries to actual neo-Nazis. Some of the more well-known ones are 4chan and 8chan, which is now called 8kun. And to put that into a little bit of perspective, the QAnon conspiracy theory originated from both of these boards, starting out on the former and eventually moving on to the latter. And since the users there are obviously pretty scummy, they like to mess with people who are politically opposed to them and aren't above telling lies to do that. Which brings us to this April 4th stuff, which I have seen a lot of women panic sharing everywhere. If you're lucky enough to not have encountered this, it basically alleges that 6 men on TikTok have been saying that this upcoming Saturday, so April 24th, is designated as National Rape Day, but incidentally the original videos are nowhere to be found, just people trying to warn others about it, and men saying that they'll hulk out if they see anything suspicious on that day. I'm gonna spoil the ending for you and tell you right now that this is 4chan. That said, it is a pretty good learning opportunity for sniffing out insidious trolling. So let's talk about that real quick. First thing you should get in the habit of doing is search 4chan. It's arguably the most active image board, and while the search feature isn't the best, it is as functional as you need it to be for something like this. I searched April 24th on there immediately, and I found this. So it's not a thing that's based in any sort of truth. We also have this. So people are piggybacking on this in an attempt to push their political agenda. It took me less than 5 minutes to find this information. I do know that due to the kind of content that's on there, there are people who don't want to go onto 4chan under any circumstances, so here are some other tells that you can look for if you want to avoid doing that. I've talked about how Twitter's algorithm is a mess in the past and how sniffing out fake content can be kind of difficult because anything that gets enough engagement gets promoted. But if you look at something that's trending and switch it over to recent tweets, here are some clues that you can look for. First of all, if you go in and you keep seeing this guy, case closed, alright? Throw it out. It's garbage. If there's one thing I can tell you about image boards, it's that they have a strange libidinal urge to post frog memes. I don't know where it comes from, but if you see this a lot, it's them. Another thing, if you see more people criticizing strange or alarmist content than doing anything to indicate that this is representative of something people are truly doing, then the thing in question is probably inauthentic. It's also worth clicking through any account that's tweeting about the topic with an anonymous icon. So, like, if you see an anime character, furry art, K-pop guy, and see their profile was created a couple of days before this rumor broke, and there's barely anything there, it's probably not legitimate, and it was probably a sock puppet created just to stir the pot about this kind of thing. The tag for this on Twitter was moving pretty quickly, but I was still able to find a few accounts that were like this. If all or several of these boxes are ticked, don't engage. Don't spread the information around, don't platform it, even if you think you're acting in good faith. I know the old adage of don't feed the trolls has fallen out of fashion, but please don't. All this considered, I know people are still worried about the risk of a handful of lunatics taking this at face value and carrying it out regardless of whether it started as something real or not. So if you feel safest just hunkering down for a Saturday, I'm not going to tell you you're wrong to feel that way. The thing is, if more of us get into the habit of thinking twice and looking into this stuff before we spread it, then the probability of those lunatics finding it in the first place goes way down. Please, please, please do your research when you see stuff like this. Please don't scare your friends. Please don't scare your families. And please do not give these idiots what they want. I am begging you. Please do not. So obviously this was an unplanned and excessively sloppy video. I promise I have real content in what works, just this is time sensitive and I didn't see anyone pushing back against the spread of this rumor, so I figured I had to be the one to get my hands dirty. Thank you for your time. Feel free to share this with anyone who's caught wind of this rumor and is worried about it. Hopefully I'll see you guys soon with an actually good video on the flip side.